Psalm 3 is a personal prayer of desperation. Lord, I have so many enemies, so many who are against me. The title says that this is a song of David, the shepherd poet who became Israel's king. But now his favorite son Absalom has turned traitor, turned the whole country against him, forcing David to flee for his life. That's the background that triggered this desperate prayer. I've never had to deal with betrayal so close to home, but I can certainly feel the anguish in David's voice, his sense of rejection, fear, and abandonment in these words in verse 2. God, listen to how they whisper their slander against me, saying, look, he's hopeless. Even God can't save him from this. This kind of psalm is called a psalm of personal lament. There are 25 of them in the Psalter, reminding us that we are not alone in our times of distress. They also show us how to pray in our desperation, even though our personal crises come in all different shapes and sizes. David doesn't wallow in his shame and desperation. He brings it to God. He tells God the whole story. He pours out his pain to God. This is gut honest prayer. We don't honor God by pretending that everything is fine when we're dying on the inside. That's the beauty of the personal lament psalm. You let God know the real you. And when David opens up to God the depth of his pain, he hears God speak. You, Yahweh, have become my shield. Your glory covers me. You lift up my head when I'm bowed low in shame. I have cried out to you, Yahweh, and from your holy presence you send me a father's help. And this lifts his mind out of the pit of despair, so that his vision of reality includes not only his adverse circumstances, but the profound truth of God's goodness in spite of all appearances. He realizes that God is a shield, a personal protector, safeguarding him from dangers seen and unseen. I really love the line that says, you lift up my head. Few things would bow your head and crush your spirit like your kids rejecting you. If you've ever experienced this firsthand, you can relate to David's pain. David felt his shame and wept his grief, and as he prays, he sees God bathing him with glory, God's fatherly hand lifting his face and renewing his personal sense of dignity. He hasn't done anything to earn this favor from God. It's simply God's love and peace at work in his heart. David is both securely shielded and deeply affirmed. And as a result, he says, so now I'll lie down and sleep like a baby. Then I'll awake in safety, for the Lord sustains me. Even though dark powers prowl around me, I won't be afraid. When you're under extreme stress, one of the first things to go is sleep. But David reports that he is sleeping peacefully. 100 real and imaginary threats threaten to stalk his mind, but he's learned to let them go, to hand them over to God, and to fall asleep in his care. This is a recipe for robust mental health. In the New Testament, Paul says, shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. And before you know it, the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Jesus. This ancient psalm of personal lament is a model for struggling believers today. The psalm finishes saying, rise up and help me, Lord. Come and save me. You will slap my foes in the face, breaking the power of their words to harm me. My true hero comes to my rescue, for the Lord alone is my Savior. What a feast of favor and bliss he gives his people. Isn't that a beautiful turnaround from desperation to confidence? To be honest, in my experience, it usually takes more than an 8-line prayer for my fears and failures to dissolve into peace and joy. Perhaps this is an example of poetic compression. But it may also suggest that David has cultivated his spiritual resilience through practicing these principles over time. That's the power of the Psalms for you. And that's Psalm 3. Take care.